Hello to the greatest qualitative researchers at Antioch University, New England. This is Norja Cunningham coming to you with Qualitative Research Methods 2 for our February 1st class. Let's see how this very first mini lecture goes utilizing recording software. Alright, so what are we going to be discussing today? We're going to review the research philosophies and review the definitions, then also go into an introduction about a new philosophy. It's called Idealism, and two different parts are subjective and also objective idealism. And then from there, we're going to apply it. So how does idealism apply to qualitative research? So let's get started. Review. We went over ontology and what that means. That means the study of being or what exists. Certain questions that we can ask is, what is real? Two types of ontology, realism and relativism. Realism is that there's only one truth and it doesn't change, and it can only be measured objectively. And then it is generalizable. That usually is an ontology related to quantitative research. Relativism ontology is that there are multiple realities that exist, and it's shaped by context, and that truth evolves and changes depending on the perspective or the context associated with it. Now also epistemology, which is the study of knowledge, the study of knowing and what is worth knowing, and how do we get to know more about what we're looking at and our phenomenon. So two different aspects of epistemology. That's eidetic. Knowledge is discovered through objective measures. Again, we utilize the analogy of the fishbowl. So we're looking from the outside in, so we can only measure from a distance. So we would literally be able to look at a fish tank, so to speak, and be able to count the number of fish that are in there, maybe the different colors, maybe based on what we're looking at to determine how much water is inside the fish tank. Compared to emic, which is knowledge is discovered through the interaction and understanding the meaning of the relative truth. So that means you jump into the fish tank and you get an opportunity to see what the experience is like from the inside. Whether the fish interact, how they behave, you get a close idea of what that is, what the water feels like. And from your perspective, of course, you are then influencing what's happening within the fish tank, but then the fish within the fish tank are also influencing you. Now, axiology actually is a study of the role of values and biases. This is so important as researchers within qualitative research, of course, because we know that based on the phenomena we are studying, we always have our own perspectives, our own biases, our own values that we place upon the knowledge that we are gaining from what we are studying. And then, of course, there's methodology, which then goes into more specifics around the systematic manner and the way we analyze the data that we are gathering. Again, this is all philosophical, so we're looking at things like ethnography, phenomenology, case study, grounded theory. All of those are ideas of methodologies. Then, of course, more specifically, you go into your methods, data gathering techniques, things like interviews, observations, artifacts, focus groups, which are all still interconnected with your ontology, your epistemology, axiology, methodology, and then going into your methods. So, now let's look at a new perspective regarding ontology. Ontological idealism. Ontological idealism is defined as an existence that is based on the mind and what the mind perceives and the ideas. So it really is irrelevant of materialism or what is actually an object that exists based on us being able to touch and see it. So there are two different types of ontological idealism. There's subjective idealism, which is what exists based on what we perceive through our senses. So it's something that we're able to take in on our own, subjective idealism. But objective idealism is, so to speak, this absolute mind, or what they would say as God had an idea and created what we perceive that exists. Wow. I have to pause for a moment because that really is pretty deep, isn't it? So, ontological idealism. Here, let me give you an example of what that looks like based on film.
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program?
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today. Welcome to the desert of the real. What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being into this.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out! Let me out! I want out! Okay, so what do you need? Besides a miracle. Guns. Lots of guns.
Neo. No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
So let's look at concept analysis here. As many of you know, or even if you haven't seen The Matrix, it's completely based on this idea that the Matrix is this computer-generated world. So this world that really doesn't exist physically, but based on the mind and this computer-generated software exists. So based on the clip that you actually saw, what was objective idealism? And explain that. And then what was subjective idealism? Then go ahead and explain that. And you can do that within the Sakai forum where this lecture is posted. Now, how is this relevant to qualitative research? So this ontological view will allow researchers to ask questions that look beyond the material world. As a researcher, if you want to inquire about a participant's experience around the existence of something unseen, for example, research topics like experiencing spiritual encounters, experiencing life after death, or feeling what your partner or twin experience at the same time in separate locations, again, these are unseen things, but phenomena that from the perspective of the participant did actually happen and really is real to them. So this ontological perspective provides a philosophical assumption within qualitative research that what one perceives is real without the necessity of it being material. So here's my last question for you all to be able to write about in the forum. What are your thoughts about ontological idealism in qualitative research? And would you ever consider utilizing this philosophical assumption? When would you consider using this ontological perspective? How would you design a study based on ontological idealism considering epistemology, axiology, methodology, and methods? And who would be, quote unquote, the ideal participant? Now, I understand that some of you